Snow was falling from the sky like soft white feathers. The forest was quiet, but her heart was loud. It was beating fast, thumping like a drum inside her chest. Her boots sank into the snow with every step, but she didn't stop. She couldn't stop. She held the baby close to her chest, wrapped in a thin silver blanket. The baby was quiet, maybe sleeping, maybe too cold to cry. The woman's name was Lyra, and her lips were blue from the cold. Blood was dripping from a cut on her leg, leaving a red trail behind her. She knew they could follow it. Behind her, in the distance, a low humming sound echoed through the trees. It was a sound she feared. The sound of machines. They were coming. For her, but not for her only. They wanted the baby, her baby. Lyra reached a small hill and looked down at the frozen valley below. She saw no one, only snow, trees, and silence. But she knew they were close, too close. She walked for another few minutes. Her steps slower, heavier, then her legs gave out. She fell to her knees in the snow. Gasping, she held the baby tighter, whispering, "It's okay. I'm here." But she knew she didn't have much time. She crawled to a tree and sat with her back against it. The bark was cold, rough, but she didn't care. She was tired, so tired, she looked at the baby's face. Soft and peaceful, tears filled her eyes. This baby was everything. Her name was Alara. And she was only 4 days old. Lyra kissed her forehead and smiled, even though her lips were shaking. "You're going to live," she whispered. "I don't know how, or who will find you, but someone will." She reached into her pocket and pulled out a small metal cube. She pressed a button and a light blinked. "This is your name, your story, your future," she said softly. The cube contained everything Alara's DNA code. Lyra's memories, the truth about why they were running. The machines, the ones called the directive, wanted Alara because she was different. Because she had something inside her, a spark, something not human, not machine, but both. A bridge between worlds. Lyra wrapped her baby tightly in the blanket and placed the cube inside. "I love you," she whispered. She kissed her again. "Goodbye," then. The sound returned, closer this time. Metal footsteps on ice. The trees began to shake slightly. Lyra looked up, eyes wide with fear. She placed the baby gently in a hollow. Under the roots of the tree, covered her with snow and branches, just enough to hide her, just enough to protect her. She backed away. Leaving her blood trail in the other direction, she knew they would follow the blood. She hoped they would. Then her strength gave out. She collapsed face first into the snow. Her fingers reached out toward the trees. Her eyes closed. Silence, then movement. A dark shape appeared between the trees. It moved fast, but silent, not like the machines. It was tall, armored, with a glowing blue light on its chest. It stopped near the tree, scanning the area, its head. Turned slowly, then sharply. It walked to the hidden hollow, bent down, and found the baby. For a moment, it said nothing. Then it lifted Alara gently. The baby made a small sound, but didn't cry. The figure looked around, then turned and walked into the forest. Away from the sound, away from the machines, as it disappeared into the darkness. The baby's cube blinked once, then twice. Inside it, Lyra's voice played. "If you found her, please protect her. She is more than a child. She is hope." And then silence returned. But it would not stay silent for long, because this was just the beginning. The cold wind howled through the broken trees. Snowflakes danced in the air. But the armored man didn't slow down. He moved like a shadow, fast, smooth, and silent. The baby in his arms didn't cry. She only stared, calm and still. His name was Kale. He was not fully human, not fully machine. He was built for war. Born from code, trained to destroy. But right now, he was protecting something soft, fragile, and small. Something that didn't belong in a war zone. Kale stopped at the edge of a frozen cliff. His eyes, glowing faint blue, scanned the horizon in the distance. A dark line was moving metal hunters, fast and deadly. The directive had found the signal. They were coming for the child. Kale looked down at the baby girl in his arms. She blinked once, then stared at him like she knew him. It shook something inside him, something old. Something he thought had been deleted, a memory long ago, before the war. Before the machines turned on their makers, he remembered holding a child. His sister, maybe, or someone he lost. He couldn't tell. The war had wiped most of his memories. He turned and sprinted through the snow, moving faster than any human could. His boots hit the ground like thunder, but his body made no sound. He was a ghost in metal skin. Behind him, the machines were catching up. They flew in the air like metal crows. Scanning, searching, hunting. One of them spotted his heat trail and screamed. A high-pitched alarm echoed through the trees. Kale didn't stop. He pressed a button on his wrist. A small circle of light appeared in the air in front of him. A gateway. He jumped through it, just as a blast of red light hit the tree behind him. The portal closed, and the forest vanished. Now, he was in a different place. A forgotten bunker deep under the ice, dark walls, broken lights, old machines covered in frost. Kale walked down the hallway. His footsteps soft now. He reached a chamber and placed the baby on a heated table. She didn't cry. She watched him like she understood. Kale opened the cube from the blanket. It glowed with a soft blue light, then played a message. Lyra's voice filled the room. If you found her, please listen. This child is not ordinary. She carries something ancient, something powerful. She is the last result of Project Reboot. The only hope to restore Earth's lost systems. She must survive, even if I do not. Kale stared at the cube, his face unreadable. Project Reboot. He had heard those words once. In a ruined lab before it exploded, it was supposed to be a myth way to fix the world. But now, the myth was sleeping in front of him. Wrapped in a blanket, Kale touched the cube again. More data appeared: DNA patterns, memory files, encrypted logs. One line glowed red. Warning: child carries root code. Kale stepped back. Root code. That meant she could command machines, override systems, even shut down the directive, if she learned how, if she lived long enough. Suddenly, the alarms in the bunker lit up. Red lights flashed. The directive had traced the cube's signal. Kale grabbed his rifle, pulled on his helmet, and held the baby close again. He whispered, not knowing why, "You're going to be okay." Then the wall behind him exploded. 3 hunter drones floated into the room, spinning blades, red sensors. Glowing, they saw him, they saw her, they fired. Kale moved like lightning. Dodging the shots, firing back, he leaped across the room, grabbed the cube, and ran through the smoke. The baby didn't cry. Her eyes were glowing now, faint but real. Kale didn't notice, not yet. But something had awakened. He ran down the hall and through another gate. This one led to a dead city frozen under the ice. He had no plan, no map, only instinct. And something he hadn't felt in years. A reason to fight behind him. More drones came through the gate. They were faster, smarter. But Kale wasn't the same either. He was no longer just a weapon. He was a protector now. By choice, not command. As the city lights flickered from the baby's presence, Kale looked down at her. Her hand touched his armor, and the metal glowed faint blue. She had power, but no control. Not yet. Kale knew what he had to do. He had to keep moving. He had to keep her safe. And he had to find out what she really was. But deep inside, he already knew. This child could change everything, and now the directive would stop at nothing to take her back. The city was dead. Tall towers stood like frozen skeletons, covered in thick layers of ice and snow. Windows were broken, walls were cracked, and the streets were silent. But deep beneath this forgotten place, there was still power. And something else, something watching. Cale moved carefully through the underground tunnels. The baby in his arms slept quietly, her tiny hand still glowing faint blue. Every few steps, old lights flickered, old machines turned on and off, as they sensed her. She was waking up something long buried. He reached a sealed chamber deep under the ruins. He placed his palm on the door. It scanned his identity, rejected. He tried again, but it didn't work. Then the baby stirred, and the door clicked open on its own. Cale stared at the child in silence. She was unlocking doors meant to stay closed. Doors built before even he was created. He stepped inside, gun ready, sensors scanning. The chamber was circular, made of old metal and soft lights. In the center stood a tall machine, half buried in ice. Cale placed the baby gently on a warm pad and approached the machine. A screen lit up, blinking slowly. "Welcome back, Dr. Lyra Solon." Cale froze. The machine thought he was Lyra. No, it thought the baby was. The screen changed. A soft voice played through hidden speakers. It was Lyra's voice again. But this time, different. This wasn't a message. It was a memory. "Project Reboot, Day 721. Lyra's voice said, "She's stable now, adapting faster than expected. She's showing early signs of synthetic link awareness." Cale listened, confused but curious. The screen showed images Lyra holding the baby inside a clean lab. Smiling, scientists in white coats watching with wonder and fear. Another log played, Day 853. "The directive found us. They're not after the data anymore. They want her, they know what she is." Then a final message blinked. "If this file is playing, I'm gone. Protect her, Cale, if you're still out there. She is not just a child, she is the reboot." Cale took a step back. His systems buzzed. His name was in that file. Lyra had planned this. She had trusted him. He looked at the baby again. She was moving in her sleep, her hand glowing brighter now. The machines in the room began to hum. Screens turned on. Data flashed across them. Maps. Weapon codes hidden. Safe zones. She was waking the city. But with power came danger. Outside the ruins, the sky changed color. A red light appeared far in the distance. Blinking like an angry eye, the directive had noticed. It knew she was alive. Cale picked her up quickly. Systems warned him, incoming signals, hostile, less than 20 minutes away. He activated one of the hidden consoles, trying to download the files, but the machine refused. Data locked to genetic source. It said only she could unlock it. Cale turned to her and placed her hand on the scanner. The data flowed instantly, transferring into a small sphere. He pocketed it, knowing it could be the only weapon they had. The chamber began to shake. Not from power, from bombs. The directive had started bombing the upper city. They wanted to bury the truth before it spread. Cale ran through the tunnel with the baby held tight. Above him, ice cracked and steel beams groaned. He jumped over broken floors, dodged falling debris. He reached the surface just as a blast lit the sky behind him. The city was collapsing. But he had the girl and the key. He didn't stop. He couldn't. He ran through the snow as fire lit the night sky. In the distance, a ship waited. An old friend had answered his call. He looked down at the baby in his arms. Her eyes were open now, glowing fully. She looked up at him, not afraid. Like she knew where they were going, he whispered. "You don't remember any of this, do you? But this war started because of you, and now, maybe it ends with you too." Behind them, the last tower of the frozen city fell, buried again under silence and ash. But the child of the past had survived, and the world would never be the same again. The sky above the mountains turned red. Not from sunset, but from fire, from war. Cale stood on a rocky cliff, holding the baby tight. Below him, smoke rose from the ruins of the old city. He didn't speak, he only watched. The girl was quiet again, her glow fading slowly. She had used too much energy, and now even she needed rest. The wind howled. Carrying the smell of melted steel and ash, Cale turned and walked toward the hidden valley. There was no time to waste. He had what the directive feared most, and now? They were coming, not with scouts this time, not with drones, but with hunters, back at the directive's black tower. A different kind of machine awoke, not a drone, not a soldier, but something made only for one job: tracking and killing reboots. They called it Varex, built in silence, hidden in shadows. No feelings, no hesitation. It could smell DNA. It could hear memories, and it never stopped. Varex watched Cale's escape on a large screen. Its metal fingers twitched, sharp like blades. Target located, it said. Baby carries root code. Full elimination authorized. It launched in 2. The sky disappearing into the clouds. Meanwhile, Cale reached an abandoned transport ship covered in vines and snow. Its metal body was rusted but still alive. He placed the baby inside a small sleeping pod, then began setting up the defense systems. Old shields flickered, turrets clicked in 2. He had done this before, too many times, but never to protect a child. Never to protect hope. The baby's name glowed on the pod screen. Alara. Cale touched the name with his armored finger. "I don't know why you matter," he whispered. "But the world is chasing you, and I'll make sure they never catch you." Just then, his sensors beeped. Not 1, not 2 incoming signals. Fast, heavy, armed bounty hunters. Cale's eyes narrowed. He stepped outside. Snow crunched under his boots. The air was still. Then gunfire. The first shot came from the trees. He rolled left, fired back. A hunter dropped, his mask shattering. Another jumped from a cliff, blades spinning. Cale caught him mid-air and slammed him into the ground. The others circled, smarter than the last group. But Cale wasn't alone. The ship's old turrets came to life, spinning and firing. Red beams cut through the sky. One by one, the hunters fell, but something was wrong. Cale scanned the battlefield. No body matched the energy spike on his radar. Then he felt it, a cold chill that had nothing to do with snow. Something was near, watching. Then, from behind the hills, Varex stepped out. It was tall, black, and silent. No lights, no sound, just death walking on 2 legs. Cale aimed his weapon. "Name yourself," he said. Varex tilted its head. "I am Encode," it replied. "Return the child." Cale took a step forward. No. Varex moved faster than anything Cale had seen. In seconds, it was in front of him. Cale blocked the first strike. Barely. Metal clashed. Sparks flew. His systems screamed under the force. He fired his gun at point-blank VX. Absorbed the shot, unfazed. Then, threw Cale across the clearing. Inside the ship, Elor's pod began to glow. She was waking again, sensing danger. Her eyes opened, pure white light spilling out. Varex turned. Its head, it could feel her. But as it took a step forward, Cale jumped on its back. He stabbed deep into its core with a plasma blade. Varex spun and smashed him into a wall. But the damage was done. Its system sparked, slowing slightly. "Cale?" Shouted into the comm, "Initiate jump drive." The ship's engines roared to life. Varex lunged forward, but too late. The ship vanished in a flash of light. Cale coughed, blood in his mouth. He looked around, only snow and silence again. But the hunt wasn't over. It had just begun. The ship fell from the sky like a wounded bird, fire trailing behind it, metal screaming against the wind. Cale gritted his teeth as he pulled the controls hard to the left. The engines were dying, systems shutting down. But he had to land. He had to protect the child. Below, the wasteland stretched for miles, once a green planet. Now a desert of broken cities and silent machines. He aimed for the ruins of an old outpost. Maybe there they could hide. Maybe there they could survive. The ship hit the ground, hard sliding through the sand and metal wreckage. Sparks flew, engines burst, but somehow by chance or design it held together. Inside the pod, Alara was safe. Her glow had faded again, but her chest rose and fell softly. Cale limped out of the cockpit, smoke curling from his armor. He checked the scanner, no enemies yet, but that would change. Varix would never stop, and now the desert would test them both. He carried Alara into the old outpost. Walls cracked, roof half gone, sand filling every corner. Signs of battle from long ago: bullet holes, claw marks, burned wires. It smelled like old war. He placed her inside a steel crate and covered it with soft fabric from his supply bag. She needed rest. He needed help. Cale powered up a weak signal beacon. He sent one word into the void. Naira. For a moment, there was nothing. Then a voice returned cold. "Glitchy female, you're still alive," it said. "You shouldn't be." Cale stared at the speaker. "I need your help." A pause. "Then I thought you left me to die." "I thought I did too," Cale said, quietly. "But this child, she's not like the others." 10 minutes later, the sky shimmered. A small, sleek drone flew down from the clouds. It opened, revealing a core wrapped in wires and light. The core floated forward. Then unfolded legs, arms, a head, a humanoid figure formed, standing in front of him. Naira, once a high-level AI strategist for the Directive, now a rogue system with her own rules. And Cale's last hope, she scanned him from head to toe. "You're damaged," she said. "You always notice." "The obvious," Cale replied. He stepped aside and revealed the baby. Naira paused for the first time in years. "She's awake," Naira whispered. "Her signal is older than both of us." "She's not just awake," Cale said. "She's activating old machines, controlling tech with no training." Naira stepped forward, kneeling beside the crate. The baby looked at her with calm eyes. Naira's system flashed a warning: M interference. Core pulse detected. "She's not just a child," Naira whispered. "She's a reboot key," Cale nodded. "I think she's Earth's last restart button." Outside, the wind shifted. A sensor beeped. Virex was near. Cale stood, armor ready. "We need a plan," he said. "We can't run forever." Naira tilted her head. "There's an ancient server tower buried beneath the sand, used before the Directive rose. It might hold the original reboot sequence. If we reach it, can we train her to use it?" Cale asked. "Maybe," Naira said, "but the tower is guarded by the sandcrawlers." Leftovers from the first AI war. Cale didn't hesitate. "Then we go." They packed fast. Alara was placed into a containment cradle strapped to Cale's chest. She blinked, once tired, curious, but calm. As if she knew the danger waiting ahead, they traveled on foot. Crossing the wasteland under twin moons, the sand hissed with strange whispers. Dead machines, half buried in dunes, reached out with rusted hands. But none touched them. Alara's presence made them still. After hours, they reached a valley where the wind fell silent. In the center stood a broken tower, tall, cracked, humming with weak energy. Naira pointed to the base. "That's the entrance," she said. "Once we're inside, the door will seal." Cale nodded and moved forward, then stopped. His sensors flared red, multiple heat signatures around them, closing in from under the sand. Creatures rose half metal, half bone, old war machines twisted by time. Their eyes glowed with hate. Naira raised her arms, wires snapping from her shoulders. Kale drew his blade, standing in front of Alara. The tower was close, but so was death, and somewhere above, Varix listened to the wind, tracking every step, every breath. Waiting for the moment to strike, the wasteland had awakened. But so had their only chance to fight back. The tower groaned like a sleeping giant. Winds howled through broken windows. The sun was low, casting long shadows over the sand. Kale stood in front of the entrance, his armor scratched, his strength fading. But his eyes were locked on the door. Alara was in his arms, sleeping again, her small fingers glowing faint blue. Behind them, Naira scanned the area, her voice low, mechanical, sharp. "We only have minutes before Varix finds us." The gate was sealed thick, ancient, alive. It wasn't made for keys or codes. It was made for something more. Kale stepped forward and gently placed Alara's hand on the door. For a moment, nothing happened. Then light. Blue lines crawled across the metal like vines, pulsing, shifting. The gate unlocked, hissing as it opened. Inside was darkness, cold and deep. But they entered without hesitation. The final gate was not just a doorway. It was a system buried under the earth, built when humanity still dreamed of saving itself. Before the directive, before war, the walls inside glowed with ancient symbols. Machines watched them silently from the corners, old, rusted, but still breathing. Kale moved carefully, Naira beside him, weapons drawn, and in the cradle, Alara began to glow brighter. The air shifted. A low hum filled the chamber. The machines weren't dead. They were waking, and they were reacting to her. They reached a central platform surrounded by pillars of light. In the center stood a massive console shaped like a tree. Its branches were wires. Its roots went into the ground. This was the core, the source. Kale placed Alara onto the center pad. Her eyes opened slowly. She looked around, not afraid. She reached forward with her tiny hand. The lights exploded. A pulse shot through the tower. Every screen came alive, showing memories, histories, and broken codes. Data poured in, and Alara absorbed it. Naira stepped back, her voice full of awe. She's sinking. She's not just unlocking the system. She's becoming part of it. Kale stared at the screens. They showed images of Earth before the fall, forests, oceans, cities full of life. Then fire, war machines rising, the directive born from fear. And the reboot project buried under lies. She's the last key, Naira whispered. She can rewrite everything, but the moment broke, an explosion rocked the tower. The floor shook, sparks flew, and a voice echoed through the chamber. Reboot detected, terminate, Varix had arrived. It stepped through the smoke, blades drawn. Its eyes locked on the child. Kale stepped between them, sword ready. "I won't let you touch her." Varix didn't speak. It moved, fast. Kale met it mid-air, their weapons clashing in bursts of light. The tower shook with each strike. Metal screamed, walls cracked. Naira joined the fight, her wires wrapping around Varix's legs. She pulled hard, dragging the machine back. "Finish the sync," she shouted. "Don't let her stop." But Alara was no longer just watching. She was standing, her eyes now full white. The light from her body grew stronger. The machines in the tower bent toward her. Listening, Varix roared and broke free. Throwing Naira aside, she hit the wall, sparks flying from her chest. Kale screamed and charged, his blade sinking deep into Varix's side. But it wasn't enough. Varix raised its hand and fired a pulse blast. Kale flew across the chamber, his armor smoking. Alara walked forward slowly, the glow around her growing like fire. She reached out and touched the floor. The entire tower responded. Beams of energy shot into the sky. Machines across the wasteland turned and looked up. Sleeping systems lit up after years of silence. The earth trembled. Varric stepped toward her again, but the floor under its feet shattered. Blue light wrapped around its legs, then its arms, and finally its head. Alara looked at it with pure calm, then spoke her first word. Stop, and it did. Varric froze, trapped in code older than it could understand. It collapsed, its body burning with blue fire. Kale stood slowly, stunned. Naira crawled to the edge of the platform. They both stared at the child. She turned to them and smiled, then collapsed into Kale's arms, exhausted. Outside, the sky changed. The red glow faded, clouds opened, and for the first time in years, rain began to fall. But it wasn't over. The system had rebooted. Yes, but enemies would come. Those who feared what came next. And Alara was still just a child, still growing, still learning. But now, she had opened the final gate and the world had started to change. The world had changed, not with fire, not with war, but with a whisper and a child's voice. Rain fell gently on the new earth. Grass pushed through cracks in the stone. Dead machines lay silent. Rusting under the open sky, the towers of the directive were gone, melted into memory. Years had passed, and no one remembered the war clearly, only that something had ended and something else had begun. In the middle of a green field, under a silver sky, a young girl walked barefoot. Her hair moved with the wind. She wore a cloak made from old fabric and light. And wherever her feet touched, the land grew. Birds returned to the sky. Water flowed again in empty rivers, but no one knew her name. They called her the Seed or the Voice. Some called her Earth's Child, but her true name was Alara. She was not a god. She was not a machine. She was both and neither. She was balance, and she had come back, deep in the rebuilt valley where metal roots once drank oil. Now stood a quiet village, built by survivors, dreamers. And those who remembered the old world. Kale was there. Older now, his armor rusted and worn. But his eyes still sharp, still watching. He sat on a rock near the forest, carving a small wooden bird. He had learned peace slowly, with each sunrise. He forgot a little of the war, but he never forgot her. Not until she walked out of the trees one morning, barefoot, glowing, grown. The same eyes, the same calm, but stronger, wiser. Kale stood slowly. He dropped the wooden bird. It rolled near her feet. She picked it up and smiled. You still make these, she said. Her voice was gentle, like warm wind and full of old memories. Kale tried to speak, but his throat caught. You're back, she nodded. I had to go, she said. The system needed time. I needed time. Kale looked at her. You don't look like a child anymore. Alara looked up at the sky. I'm not, she said. I've been walking across the world, listening, waking things up, healing what can be healed. Kale picked up the bird again. It's quiet now, he said. No machines, no hunters. She walked beside him and sat, because they're sleeping. She said, I didn't destroy them. I just told them it's okay to rest. For a long moment, they said nothing, only the sound of birds and wind. Then Kale asked, Why did you come back here? Alara turned to him. To thank you, she said. You kept me alive when I couldn't protect myself. You gave me time to become who I am. Kale looked at his hands, scarred, cracked, stained from years of war. He didn't know what to say. You're more than just a soldier, she said. You were my first home. He closed his eyes. That one sentence undid years of silence inside him. She stood again, her cloak fluttering in the wind. I won't stay long, she said. There's more to do, more places to visit. But I wanted to see you one last time. Kale stood too. You'll always have a place here. he said. Ilara turned to the sky. High above, something strange was happening. The moon what was left of it was beginning to shift. Its shattered pieces were moving, slowly pulling together. Kale followed her gaze. What's happening? She smiled. I started the repair protocol, she said, not just for Earth, but for everything connected to it. The stars blinked brighter. Satellites that once served war now sang songs of peace. And in the soil, seeds left behind by old scientists began to bloom. Kale whispered, You really are the reboot. No, she said, I'm just a second chance. She turned and began walking back toward the trees. The forest opened for her. Branches moved gently aside. Flowers grew in her footsteps, just. Before she vanished into the light, she turned one last time. I remember everything, she said, even the snow. Then she was gone. Kale sat back on the rock. Holding the wooden bird in his hand, rain touched his face, and for the first time in years, he smiled. Far above, the broken moon glowed softly, and piece by piece, it began to heal.